Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. So tonight we're going to continue. We're almost done going through this very short work, 10 قواعد في تزكية النفس للشيخ للعلامة Shaykh'Abd al-Razzāq ibn al-Muḥsin al-Badr حفظه الله. So in his work, the 10 principles, or the 10 guiding principles for purifying the soul. We're now on قواعد التاسعة, we're on the 9th one, so we have one more to go. In this one, he titled حذر من العجب والاغترار بالنفس. So this one, now he's going to go back to more of a personal accountability. So the one that we covered yesterday, al-Qa'idah al-Thamina, the 8th one was about being with the jama'ah, right, and being around good people and how your success in this life and the next, and even the means to purifying yourself is also partially reliant upon choosing good company and being in good company. And so that was the reflection from yesterday. And so now he's going to direct us towards back again more to personal accountability. So he said, be wary of al-ujba. Al-ujba is like vanity. It's kind of in the same في نصف العائلة مع الكبر. It's kind of like in the same family, you could say, as like being as pride. So be weary of being overly consumed with yourself. Al-ujba. Wal-iqtirar bin-nafs, as well as deluding yourself. And so to begin to understand this, the Shaykh begins with the ayat al-Karima, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Qala Azza wa Jal, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. So Allah Ta'ala reveals a verse in which He was saying that do not think that you can purify yourselves. The only tazkiyah that can happen is, of course, bi'idhnihi ta'ala, the only one that can happen through His permission, and also through the ways of which He either has prescribed and described in the Quran, or which has been prescribed and described and demonstrated by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he says, نَهَى اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ عَنْ مَدْحِ النَّفْس, that Allah Ta'ala essentially has actually in some ways forbidden for a person to be happy and satisfied with themselves, madh, to be happy and pleased with themselves. And I found this actually a striking commentary by the Shaykh, because we live in the time of, especially in the Western world, which at this point the entire world is one form of Western or another, is this idea of self-love. We hear it all the time. And maybe the older generation is not, but definitely the younger people know, you hear this term self-love all the time. And there's no doubt that it is close to this kind of al-madh bin nafs, this kind of like praise of the self. What does it mean, self-love? I mean, of course, we know in Islam that the Prophet ﷺ taught us that Allah Ta'ala said that our body has rights over us. So if you mean taking care of your body, even then that's different than the nafs. The nafs is seldom praised in the Quran except for the one that has been obedient to Allah, and that is really related to the Day of Judgment. And the only way to know that, right, and this is what he means about being weary of iqtirar bin nafs. Be wary of deluding yourself, because people have the feeling of, I'm doing self-care. What is self-care other than just looking in the mirror constantly, focusing on yourself, obsessing with yourself, and more particular, it has to do with looks and feelings. And there are a great many things in Islam that have nothing to do with looks, and in fact, it may have to be وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَىٰ. It will actually be quite the opposite of that, but rather we have to reject something of our nafs so that we can go to paradise. So in the modern context, this is a very problematic term, which many things, it sounds great and everybody jumps on the bandwagon. And now you even find some Muslim speakers, which itself is a strange phenomenon. When I was young, There was no such thing as a speaker. Either you were a shaykh or not a shaykh. Either you were a muallim or not a muallim. Either you were a teacher or not a teacher. Now we have speakers. When I was a kid, a speaker was something you took from your parents' stereo, you put in your trunk, and you drove around the neighborhood, and tried to act cool. That's what I thought a speaker was. Now a speaker is something else. So we have also, departed from this, where it's not rooted in some type of reality, and it's not rooted in a pursuit of the akhirah. And so he's drawing our attention to this, that what this and the fact that Allah Ta'ala naha azza wa jal an madh al-nafs bima yadullu ala zakatiha wa sarahiha, that and what our focus should be on is purifying the soul. Purifying the soul has nothing to do with self-love. It has nothing to do like rectification of the soul. Islah has nothing to do with self-love. And I know there will be some people say, oh, this is semantics. Well, in Islam, semantics matter. Right? This is why Allah Ta'ala says to the Christians, do not say that Allah, thalithu thalath. Don't say that Allah is one of three. Right? They'll say, well, we all believe in the same higher, but no, but semantics matter. So in the same way, we should be careful of this. And there are whole works produced on the mustalahat al-Qur'aniyah. There are whole entire works produced on the subject of the actual nomenclature and special words in the Qur'an. And so words, and they really matter. He continues by saying, لِأَنَّ التَّقْوَى مَحَلُّهَا الْقَلْبِ. That really, that the pursuit of taqwa, which is what? Distancing oneself from displeasing Allah in order to distance oneself from the fire, right, is that none knows the true state of the heart. And so that's why he points out, he said that what? لِأَنَّ التَّقْوَى مَحَلَّهَا الْقَلْبِ. Taqwa is located in the heart. وَمَنْ يَعْرَفَ الْقَلْبِ. Who knows the heart? لَا يَعْرَفَ الْقُلُوبِ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Nobody knows the heart except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why in some dua, Ya muqallib al-qulub, oh, the one that can turn hearts. Only Allah knows the conditions of the hearts and the state of the hearts, and whether they are pure, impure, or baynahuma, or whatever state that they're in. Whereas self-love, it doesn't even talk about the heart. It talks about the self. So again, going back to taqwa, and of course this is the month, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, this is the month of which we're supposed to try to, inshallah, take steps towards taqwa. والله عز وجل هو أعلم بمن حصلت منه يعني التقوى. And only Allah Ta'ala knows whether or not a person has even attained taqwa. And this is actually an important thing, of which in a further note, one of my teachers, he said, imagine if Allah granted us temporarily to know the true state of our heart. And let's say some of us had done some good deed that had pleased Allah. If we knew the state of our heart, like running a race, he gave the example. He's like, imagine running a race. Are you running it to beat other people, or are you doing it to achieve something great? And the example is, if you're running a race, what sometimes pushes you to keep going is when you look over your shoulder and you see somebody coming up behind you. That tanafus, right? This is why Allah Ta'ala talks about it in Surah al-Mutaffifin, that those who tanafus, those are the ones that will compete. The only thing they should compete for is what? Al-Mutanafisun. They should compete, right, for going to paradise. And so it's like you look over your shoulder, and when you feel that somebody's coming, it will encourage you to strive harder and to go. And also, if you don't know where the goal line is or where the end is, right, this is the things that push you to go. But as soon as we feel like, well, maybe I did get something, maybe I achieved something. It's like when I saw a funny video the other day, my daughter showed me a Palestinian brother. He was laughing about his parents. He said, this is what it's like to have a Palestinian dad. He said he came home with a 95%. He said, MashaAllah, you are atiq 95%, but ghabi 5%. He's like, you're very, very 95% very intelligent, but he said, what is this? You're 5% stupid? And he was laughing about the idea of once we become a little bit of success, then we get lazy and we let up. And so the thing with taqwa, because it's located in the heart, Allah Rabbul Qulub, and only Allah is the Lord and knower of the hearts, that because of that should give us an even greater incentive to strive for His pleasure, to avoid those things that displease Him, run to those things that we know that will please Him and that He will reward for. And so in many ways, like it's when we know that we're getting towards something, it's like anybody that's ever taught, if you ever get to the end of the term and you've already given the final exam, but maybe there's one other little test, and people are like, it doesn't matter, right? Or if somebody's going to graduate, and they basically already have their graduation secure, but there's some project to do, and they're like, it doesn't really matter. This is the thing that discourages us from the pursuit of ihsan. And as Allah Ta'ala says, هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. Is there any reward for ihsan, for excellence, other than doing more and more and more excellence? So know that the affair of the heart, right, is going to be intimately connected to the affair of trying to gain taqwa, to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and try to please Him. And so only Allah knows. He said, هُوَ أَعْلَمُ مِنْ حَصَلَتْ مِنْهُ التَّقْوَى لِأَنَّ هَذَا الْمَدْحَ لِلنَّفْس سَبَبٌ لِلدُّخُولِ الْعُجْبِ عَلَيْهَا. And so that can also be one of the causes when we have that disposition, then we become also, if we did achieve something, then we become a little bit prideful, like, I did that. And that is very similar to what I see a lot in this popular discourse about self-love, is that it's about being very satisfied with yourself. And then what? We're not satisfied with ourselves. The only thing we're satisfied with, رَضَيْنَا بِاللَّهِ رَبًّا. We are satisfied with Allah Ta'ala as our Lord. وَبِمُحَمَّدٍ نَبِيٍّ وَبِالْإِسْلَامِ دِينٍ. This is the things that we're satisfied with. We're not satisfied with our soul. وَالسَّبَبٌ لِلرِّيَاءِ. And it also could be a cause for showing off then, because alhamdulillah, you achieved some success, or you did something good, but now you're destroying the barakah in it by showing off. وَهُوَ مُحْبِطٌ لِلْأَعْمَالِ. And that's what destroys many, many people's good deeds. And so he continues, he says, وَالْمُؤْمِنُ مُحَمَّدٌ اجْتَهَدَ فِي فِعْلِ الصَّالِحَاتِ وَاجْتِنَابِ وَالْمُحَرَّمَاتِ. And so the mu'min, the one that really believes in Allah, when he says mu'min, man amana billahi wahda, wa rusulihi wa kutubihi wa malaikati ila akhirih, all the things that we have to believe in terms of iman, that is the one that no matter what they have done, they know that they have to still keep striving. And they have to still try to avoid the haramat. They never say, I don't eat pork and I don't drink alcohol. I guess I deserve a gold medal now. I guess I deserve to go to Jannah now. No, we have to still keep going. فَإِنْهُ لَا يَزَّلَ مُقَصِّرًا. Right? We have to keep aiming for something beyond the things that Allah blesses us indeed to achieve. If we do achieve some fath, if we achieve some victory, or we do something good, we should be grateful that Allah Ta'ala gave this fursa, this opportunity to do so. But know that there are maqasir, بعد ذلك, that there are other things to pursue beyond them. And then of course the other flip side is that when we do become satisfied with ourselves, then we are like the nafs, ظَلْمًا لِنَفْسِهِ, that we wrong our soul. And interestingly enough, then he's going to kind of conclude here with a very dua shahir min an-nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, a very famous dua. It says, إِذَا كَانَ أَبُو بَكْرَ الصِّدِّيقُ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ صَدِّقَ هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who was the most trustworthy of this ummah of men. وَخَيْرُ النَّاسِ بَعْدَ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. And he was the best of men after the prophets. لَمَّا سَأَلَ النَّبِيَّ صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يعلمه دعاء يدعو الله به في صلاته. And so he asked the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, and again this shows in and of itself a level of humility and a disposition that is not satisfied with what it has achieved. And so the best of us, the best of all of the believers, save for the prophets and the messengers, and went and asked the Prophet ﷺ, who was his friend. And this is also an important thing. You can be friends, but what? You support one another and you want to encourage one another to do good. So we know that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he was the best friend of the Prophet ﷺ. He married his daughter to him and on and on. They were very close. But he still went to him out of respect, because even though they were friends, like still, you are the Prophet of God, and I'm going to go and I'm going to ask you, teach me a supplication, teach me a dua that I can say in my salah. Now again, the Prophet ﷺ allamahu ad-dua, he teaches him the dua, but think about it. He knows who Abu Bakr is. He knows the qualities that he has. Allah knows his heart alone, but still, That's his best friend. He knows him. He's one of the most trustworthy human beings. So what does he doesn't tell him just say, Allahumma, ighfir li dhunubi, oh Allah, just, forgive me some of my sins. He says what? He begins by saying, Allahumma inni dhalamtu nafsi. Oh Allah, I have wronged myself. This is the dua that An-Nabi al-Mukhtar al-Mustafa taught Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. It begins with, oh Allah, I have wronged myself. ظُلْمًا كَثِيرًا, enormously and abundantly. Now, I don't know about you. I cannot think of what Abu Bakr did. We have no record. What did he do to wrong himself? I certainly can't think of anything. Most of us could not conjure up anything. What did he do with ظُلْمًا كَثِيرًا? That he wronged himself so greatly. فَاغْفِرْ لِي مَغْفِرَةً مِنْ عِنْدِكَ. Therefore, Allah, personally forgive me a great forgiveness because I've wronged myself. وَارْحَمْنِي, and then have mercy on me. إِلَى آخِرِ الدُّعَاء. I mean, these are the words that the Prophet ﷺ taught Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. If he is the best of normal men outside of the prophets, that means he's better than everybody else in this room. And that's the dua that his best friend taught him, that was beginning with, Ya Allah, I wronged myself. I really, ظُلْمًا كَثِيرًا, I really wronged myself. So again, the tariq of self-love, the path, the suluk of self-love has nothing to do with Islam. And this might seem harsh, but words matter, semantics matter, istirahat matters. And these things, they open up, and from words come certain kinds of characteristics and behaviors. And so why should we seek out something else other than what? خَيْرَ الْأَنَامِ عَلَّمَ صَدِيقَهُ. The best of all of creation taught his best friend, this is the dua. So the path of not being self-satisfied and not deluding ourselves that we've somehow done all these wonderful great things, this is from the path and the way and the sunnah and the uswa and the qudwa of Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, that this is what he taught. And this is why لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. This is indeed why there is such a great and enormous example and blessing in the following of the best of creation and the Khatam al-Mursaleen, the seal of all of the prophets, Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Amin, alayhi salatu wasalam. So we ask Allah Ta'ala to make us from the Mubta'in al-Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Oh Allah, make us from amongst the followers of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Oh Allah, may you make us amongst those who وَإِن ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ أَنْتَ تَغْفِرْهُمْ. Oh Allah, even though we have wronged ourselves, ظُلْمًا كَثِيرًا فَاغْفِرْ لَنَا مَغْفِرَةً مِنْ عِنْدِكَ وَارْحَمْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. Oh Allah, even though we have wronged ourselves abundantly, we ask and beg of your forgiveness and of your mercy, and you are the best of those that forgive. And so, inshallah, we're almost done. Tomorrow night, inshallah, we will conclude with the 10th one, and inshallah, all of these will be available up on YouTube for anybody that wants to go back, inshallah, and review them. And if anybody wants, I can provide them a link to a PDF if you want to download it. It's only in Arabic, but you can go back and follow along with all the videos, inshallah, if you're interested. ونصلي ونسلم ونبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم.